Welcome to Create a DM, a brand new series dedicated to the learning of Dungeons & Dragons and other amazing tabletop RPG games. I go by Bbeg. I'm a brand new player, and because of that, I completely understand that sometimes learning how to DM or become a brand new player is very overwhelming. In the comment section below, if there's anything that seems a bit confusing that you want me to cover, I'll be more than happy to do the research for you and present it in a future tutorial video. And remember, it's okay to ask questions. It's okay to make mistakes. It's all a part of the learning process. So let's have fun together. Number 10, DM and GM. A lot of people get confused. Which one is which? Well, here's the fun fact. Both of them are the exact same role. DM, Dungeon Master, and GM, Game Master, do the same exact thing. It's just that historically, DM was meant for Dungeons and Dragons, while GM was meant for all the other tabletop RPG games out there. For example, the very popular Pathfinder. You gotta remember, some of these series do have a specific name for that role, but in generic terms, DM and GM are interchangeable, so don't stress it. Number 9, the BBEG. You're gonna hear this a lot. The BBEG simply means Big Bad Evil Guy. Yes, I know, it's a very silly phrase, but it has a purpose. It mainly means that this is the main antagonist to the party. For example, the famous Curse of Strahd module out there, Strahd would be considered the BBEG, the end goal, the person that you must defeat or deal with in one way or another. Number 8, Grimdark. Grimdark are campaign settings that are very dark and gritty. You have to understand that some people really want to go all out. So that means they'll make a campaign of lots of blood and gore and maybe some very sensitive topics out there. So you have to understand, if you join a Grimdark campaign, speak to your Dungeon Master, Game Master, and explain if there's anything in that campaign that you do not want to have. Number 7, Homebrew. Homebrew is the core of any type of tabletop RPG game. It basically means a modified item or monster or total campaign within the rule set of Dungeons and Dragons or any other tabletop RPG that you're playing. So, for example, if you have a party of 6 going against a dragon and the DM realizes that this dragon's going to get wiped super quickly because the party is either too strong or there's just so many people in the party that the dragon is not going to be much of a challenge, he might bump up their HP or give them special stats. That is a homebrew. If you are making a brand new campaign from scratch, that is a homebrew. If you have a special magical weapon or spell that you want the players to get a hold of, that is a homebrew. I'll be covering more on homebrew in later videos. Number 6, Murder Hobo. Yes, I know, it's a funny name, but Murder Hobo simply means a player or a group of players in the campaign that rather kill everything in sight than actually, negotiate or talk or roleplay. They rather just wipe the world clean of anyone that annoys them. A shopkeeper doesn't want to sell an item because the shopkeeper was annoyed by them asking. Well, the shopkeeper's dead. A guy who knows special information that might help the party out, well, after they get the information, they kill him. A nice little lady who just served them a great meal, and all of a sudden, she's like, have a nice trip, and they turn around and murder her. Why? Because reasons. Those are all murder hobos. Trust me, if you're going to be a DM, expect to have at least one player or one group of players that go down that path. Number 5, Railroading. Railroading is looked down upon in the tabletop RPG world. Basically, railroading means is that, let's say there's a mission at this giant tower, and the DM wants you guys to go into that tower, but the party is in the middle of a town. They don't want to go to that tower right now. And then the DM does everything in their power to negate any decision that the party makes to get them to that tower. That is railroading. The DM or GM could actually, do some funny narrative stuff to kind of guide them over time to the tower to get to the endpoint that they want to anyway, but railroading basically means that they're forcing the party or players to do a specific thing. Number 4, the theater of the mind. Yes, theater of the mind is the very crux of tabletop RPG games. Here's why. Because you could go on sites like Roll20 and D&D Beyond and play on virtual tabletop boards, or you could go to a shop or a friend's house and they might have like little figurines, or they might build out battle maps, but in the end, most of what happens in D&D takes place in your head. It is your imagination. It is where the entire world takes place. So theater in the mind means that there's nothing at the table. You're literally talking back and forth. You're in a tavern. The person doesn't have to build out a giant tavern for the party to be in unless something's really important in there. So you're just in a tavern. You're walking up to people. You're talking. That is all theater of the mind. Number 3, attack of opportunity. Attack of opportunity is very common in games. Here's the thing. Imagine this. There's a hero and a goblin. They've been going at it for quite some time. All of a sudden, the goblin knows he's about to die, so he tries to run away. Well, there's a status called disengage, which means they could basically back away and then run away from the player character. Well, in this case, if he just turns and runs, that's an attack of opportunity. That means you, out of your turn order, gets to attack the goblin and you might kill him. But remember, that goes both ways. So if you don't have the power to disengage from that same goblin, and let's say the goblin is winning the fight, well, that goblin has an attack opportunity on you. Number 2, Session 0. This is a very important thing. Session 0 basically means it's the pre-game before the game. This is when everyone meets up and basically discusses certain things they want to get out of the campaign. Do you have a special backstory that you want your DM to know that the other characters don't? Is there certain things that you want in or out of the campaign before playing? This is where you meet up and kind of discuss all those things. So session zeros are essential if you're going to play any type of major campaign. Number 1, OneShot. OneShot Tavern is based off of this name. OneShot basically means a very short campaign that can be done usually in one session. So here's an example. You're a thief. You're assigned to take down this big mafia boss in this house. Well, your job is to go through this house, avoid the traps, and get to him to do an assassination attempt. By the end of the game, that is the one shot. That is the session. That is a micro story that is over. A lot of people love doing one shots because it is a great introduction to major campaigns. Just know, campaigns could go for a couple months to a couple years, depending on what's going on. So one shots are a great way to have very bite-sized campaigns, which are great for either specific type of stories, to bring out old characters for very specific missions, or usually to bring in new players to kind of get them used to the whole world of D&D or tabletop RPG games. So I hope this was all very useful to you. If there's more terms that you want me to explain, put them in the comment section below, or other things that you want me to explain in future Create a DM sessions, let me know. And as always, I'll see you at the next adventure.